Well, good morning, and thank you so much for having me. I really have been looking forward to this opportunity to share with all of you. And that biography was so much better than the one I gave you. But I'm going to assume that most of you all are like me, and you have ordinary lives, and you go through your day doing mostly ordinary things. But I'm curious, how many of you maybe have a part of your life, maybe it's a talent, maybe it's a practice that you have, some kind of a habit that allows you, maybe just for a few moments, to step out of the ordinary and into something extraordinary. I'm going to bet that most of us have such a treasure, and I want to share with you mine. So, 6 years ago, it was May of 2020, and it was early COVID. They had just shut down the gyms, and I'm wondering, how am I going to get a full-body workout without access to weight machines? And I remember it was like a warm, beautiful Saturday, and I look in the back of the paper, and I notice the ocean temperature is 68 degrees. And I'm thinking to myself, 68 degrees. As I remember it, that's fairly comfortable. So later in the day, I picked up a pair of goggles that I had around and drove to Strands Beach, which is just south of the Ritz-Carlton, for those that aren't aware. It's in Dana Point. And I get there, and I walk out into the water, and my first thought is, this is kind of cold. Is this really 68 degrees? I don't know. But I was committed. Like, I was going to make this happen. And I'm thinking, like, this might just be my new workout. So I walk out there, I start swimming, and I immediately get this, like, ice cream headache. My arms and my legs feel a little lethargic. I'm out of breath. I'm just thinking, oh, my God, what is going on here? Now, I had logged hundreds of hours in this ocean. Strands Beach is very special to my family. My grandparents parked a trailer at the Dana Strand Beach Club back in the late 50s. And we, my dad worked as a lifeguard and surfer. Well, he didn't work as a surfer. He did surf throughout the 60s. And basically my parents pretty much raised me and my siblings on that beach throughout the entire summer. So it just made, the beach was just a fun, safe place for us to be. So I'm out there in the water, and because I had logged in that time, and, it honestly had been like 35 years since I've been there. So after, high school, I left, and I didn't come back until really months before this swim. But I'm feeling, after a while, I'm getting to my groove, and I'm feeling good. And I'm thinking, okay, I think I can do this, but it was a short swim that day, just halfway up the beach, and I started swimming into shore, and then another weird thing happened to me. I'm just in a couple feet of water, and I can't stand up, and I'm just having, I don't remember this happening to me, but I'm having a very difficult time making the transition from horizontal to vertical, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, a lifeguard's going to come and try and save me, and it's going to be super embarrassing. But thank God I managed to get myself up, got myself home, and shortly afterwards, I just felt fantastic, all over my body. I just felt like this electric buzz, and it made me think back to when I was a kid, and we would spend these full days at the beach. We'd come home, and there'd just be that post-beach glow. And I just thought, I want to do this again. So the next day I did it again. I went twice the distance. And, I work from home. I live fairly close by, and I realized, I can do this a couple days a week. So I started kind of just this practice of I just kept showing up. And I want to say it was really the beauty that brought me out there. That you put your head beneath the water and you see the fish. You look up above, you see pelicans just skimming above the surface. You see that first morning light hitting the sand. It was just so special. And there was something about that hour on the water, and remains to be, even this morning when I was out there, that is unlike any of the other 23 of the day. And there's something addictive about that tactile sensation of the water on your skin. At least for me. Like, I love that feeling. If it was intimate, you could just feel the power of that big, big ocean on your body. And I just couldn't imagine wearing a wetsuit. And, I started this in May, so the summer's going through, and you're getting into fall. I'm just thinking to myself, like, how is this going to work? When winter comes, can I do this without dying, without a wetsuit? And that was an honest question. Like, I really didn't know. Like, can I do this without? Because I'm looking out there, and it's summertime, and all the surfers are still wearing wetsuits. And so October comes, and I watched this documentary just by chance. It was, maybe some of you have heard of it. It's called My Octopus Teacher. And it's about this guy, Craig Foster, in South Africa. In the movie, he's like spending hours in the water, no wetsuit, and he mentions how cold the water is. It's like mid-40s Fahrenheit. And so I go online to look up to see, because I didn't know then, like, how cold does it get here? And I can tell you now, like, it averages like high 50s. The coldest I've ever been in is like 52, 53, which is darn cold for here. And so I'm thinking, okay, this guy can do mid-40s. It's possible. Like, this can be done. If Craig Foster can do it, I can do it. So November comes, first week of November, water's like 64. A little cooler, but, still, not hypothermic. I go on vacation the second week of November, and a storm from Alaska comes in. And the water temperature plummets to like 55 degrees. And I'm watching on my phone from out of state, like, on Surfline, the water temperature, and I'm just thinking, what's that going to feel like? I wonder, like, that's a lot colder than I've felt. But Craig Foster can do it. So I get back from vacation, still mid-50s. I get out there in the water, and it is like a different kind of cold. Like, we are no longer 64 degrees. And it's hard for me to remember, like, exactly how I felt, but what I can remember is what I was thinking. Like, I remember thinking, is this okay? Like, I'm feeling these feelings that I've never felt before. Are these all right? And I think the biggest question that was on my mind is, how will I know that I'm dying before I actually die? Like, is there going to be some advance warning here? I hope so. And somehow I made it through like a whole swim out there, and I get back to shore. I'm like shivering uncontrollably, and I realize, I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on this. But I know, like, people all around the world are doing this. It just seemed like nobody here was doing it. So I've never considered myself like a cold water enthusiast. Like, I know there's some people out there just say, "Oh, it's so invigorating," and like, no, thank you. So I knew, like, I'm gonna have to change my mindset. Like, I'm gonna have, like, I really wanted to do this. So I'm reading up books, and what these books were telling me was basically other people are doing this, which gave me confidence. But the real lessons really seemed to come in just through intuition. And the first thing was, I can't resist this. I can't get into the water and think, oh my God, this is so cold, this is terrible. Like, I have to face this with curiosity. I have to let the water touch my skin and really, really ask myself, what does this feel like? Like, what does this feel like on my body? And a question that I found very helpful at that time was, am I suffering? And I'm in there, I'm in the cold water, and if I ask myself, am I suffering? Cold water, at least in the mid-50s, it's not like it's painful. It's not like I'm being stabbed with knives or something like that. It's a very intense feeling. And I think we're conditioned to believe that it's a bad feeling, that it's dangerous. And certainly it could be. And I'm not suggesting that you all get out, run out and get in the mid-50 water. But what I realized was the suffering is coming from my thoughts about the water. The suffering is coming from the story that I'm creating for myself about what this condition is like. But if I stop and I really think about what is the experience that I'm having right now, it's amazing. Like, being out here is amazing. It's not comfortable, it's not pleasant, but it's amazing. And I remember there was this one morning, I can still remember it, like, exactly where I was today, because there's times in my life when I just think back to this moment that really helps me. I'm on the south side of the beach. I'm about 25 minutes into the swim. And at about 25 minutes, like that's, at least for me, that's when you start feeling that cold just kind of seep into your bones. So my anxiety level is rising. The questions are coming like, should I be doing this? I'm a father. Is this a responsible thing for me to be doing? And suddenly it's like a voice comes. You know, it's not audible or anything, but just like my intuition or God or whatever you want to call it comes to me and just says, relax. Just relax. So I do. I soften my body, and I could feel suddenly like, okay, I can get through this. Suddenly that whole story, that whole dialogue going on in my head about, am I going to die, like goes away, and I'm brought right to that present moment of what am I experiencing right now. And to this day, I think back to that, and it just showed me like what a powerful meditation tool this was, because I was able to change my mind, like to relax my mind, and in real time feel a change in my body and how I felt. And you know, I've been meditating for decades now, and I don't have that experience on the cushion, but out there in the water, it was like instant biofeedback, and it just really, you know, the cold water just really became a great focal point of meditation for me. And so I started developing around this time kind of this metaphor of the act of entering into the water as like a portal. And so on the one side of the portal, we're dressed, we're warm, and we're feeling comfortable. And maybe, like for myself, maybe I'm walking down the stairs and I'm looking at the water and I'm thinking, that looks terrible. Like, why would I get in that water? I'm warm now. Like, why change that? And but then, for whatever crazy reason, you do get in the water, and so you go through the portal, and you're like have like this explosion of energy going on inside your body. But then you get to the other side, and then you think, this is why. Well, I should say, I think, you know, this is why I do it. You know, just minutes ago, I thought, this seemed like a terrible thing, and now I can't imagine wanting to do anything else. Again, it's not comfortable. I wouldn't put it in the category of pleasant, but it's just like suddenly everything looks brighter. Everything looks more vibrant. You know, a lot of times I'll go into the water, I'll be depressed, I'll be stressed, I've got various things going on in my life, and it's not, you know, the water doesn't take those things away, but it shines a light on those things to make me think I can overcome this. Like, all will be well. And it's just become just a magical feeling for me. So I really had to learn, like, well, how do I get from one side of that portal to the other? And, you know, a few things along the way, you know, helped me. And one thing was I just told myself, you know, if I get in that water, I don't like it, I'll just get out. But I got to get in. So those, you know, those things, you know, got me through the year. And then I went through another year. And then, you know, I'm realizing, why am I see so few people out here. Here we are in these beach communities. You know, there's all these young, fit people doing crazy exercisey things. Why don't I see them out here? So I wanted to like kind of get the word out and give people a sense of what this was like. So I wrote a few blog posts. Still something was missing. I remember being out there on the water, and it just dawned on me, pictures. Like, I've got to take pictures. There's no way to like get across like what this is like without some kind of visual representation. And the thing is, so at this point in my life, I had never had any interest in photography. I mean, I would take pictures every now and then like everyone else, but it wasn't like a hobby by any means. And I didn't know anything about cameras, let alone underwater cameras. So, you know, I brought myself like a reasonably priced GoPro knockoff and started taking it into the water and taking terrible pictures. They were like crooked, they were washed out. And, you know, something changed though when I started doing this, when I started blogging and writing about my swims and taking in the photographs and editing the photographs, which I eventually got much better at. And that is, I started paying attention. I started paying more close attention, just visually, what was going on around me and what was going on in my mind. Just paying more attention to the birds, to the clouds, to the waves, to my thoughts about the waves, and believe me, I had thoughts about the waves, and to my just when you look under the water and you just see that gray kind of nothingness, or blue or green, it's a different color every day, and the thoughts that would drift through my head. It just, all of that stuff just started capturing my attention more. And so I did this, I've been doing it for 4 years now. And eventually I began to notice the noticing. And so I would come home, I would sit down at my table after a swim, have my cup of coffee, and I would just empty my mind and have no idea, honestly, no idea what I'm going to write about, and just kind of just follow myself through the swim and get to the water and remember the thoughts. And so I'm having, there's this experience that I had in the water. It's like the water was talking to me out there. And now I'm having this experience here at my computer, and the water is talking to me here. And there's almost like this conversation is happening, and these new thoughts would come that would expand upon the thoughts that I had in the water. And I just found things coming to my consciousness that like when I was done with a blog piece, just feeling just very, very impacted. It was just like I was seeing the water as a metaphor for my life in so many ways. And one thing I'd like to share, a lot of times I'm out there in the water, and again, I might be depressed or be down that day or struggling with something, or maybe not. Maybe I'm just, feeling just kind of blah that day. And I'm just thinking, I want to be feeling something else. I want to be feeling, that, I'm out here, I should be feeling ecstatic, but I don't. I've got whatever feeling I've got. And I realize, I can't force that feeling. I can't force that feeling of ecstasy. I'm just going to focus on what is here right now. So I find myself in the act of writing, remembering those things. I'm remembering, just feeling my arm, rise out of the water and back in. I'm feeling my feet hit the water. I'm feeling, or remembering, and this is a big one, for me at least, is the sky. Turning my head and looking at the sky and seeing that sun. And, it's hard to put words on these because there's not. And it's very much a feeling. But when I think about that sun, it's like I see just this light, and it just penetrates my heart. And so I'm out there on the water, I've got these cares, and it's like I see that sun, I see it hitting the rock face of the cliff, and suddenly I just see this like a shimmering of light and love. And I just want to lean into that. I just want to lean in to that light and love. And if I could just do that, if I could just follow that, what would it take me to? What kind of a life would I lead? And as I began to meditate on this and have been meditating on this more and more, I find that just the way I make decisions in life change. I'm not so concerned about what I should do, but I'm more concerned about what feels right. And the mind is a very important tool for me. I am a software engineer. I have to use it every day. But I want to lead with my heart. And I just feel like this has become sort of an emotional navigational system for me that has changed the course of how I choose what I want to do and what I don't want to do. I choose, and it's shined a light on who I am. And the more that I think about these things, the more that I think about that light and that love and that sun in the sky, every single time I do it, I recognize it better the next time. And so I'm stuck in life, and I don't know how to move forward. And I don't know how to fix things, maybe. But I just know, move into that light, move into that love. And just one last reflection. So, there's days when the wind is the wind is high and the water is rough, and I'm just it feels like I'm going nowhere. I'm bobbing up and down. I'm looking at the houses on the cliff, and they're not moving. And I'm thinking, oh, great. This is the one time of the hundreds of swims, this is the time that I'm going to be stuck here. They're going to have to bring a helicopter and come out and save me. And it's going to be embarrassing. But I just keep moving my arms and legs. I just keep moving forward. And eventually, always, every single time, I make it to shore. And so I just keep, this is all just kind of sunk in. And so the way I want to live my life now, thanks to this activity, is I want to lean into that love, lean into that light, feel what that feels like, and just keep moving forward. Maybe failure by failure by failure, but keep moving forward. Thank you.